the hair.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Virtual Cheese Awards 2023, showcasing best of British cheeses. I am Gautam Krishna and I'll be moderating this session. Joining me is Hero Hirsch and Richard Newell, our judges for today. Hi judges, would you like to introduce yourself? Hero.
Hi there, I'm Hero Hirsch from Paxton and Whitfield. Paxton's is the UK's oldest cheesemonger at 226 years old this year. I've been there for 15 years running their shops, and I'm really excited to try and find some really good cheeses today.
Richard?
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Richard Newell. I've been working in the British cheese and dairy industry now for just a little over 40 years and in a variety of different roles for most of the sort of major cheese dairy companies. So really delighted to be judging today.
Good. Today we will be judging traditional white crumbly. So the judges use a point-based system where they assign a score to the 5 different attributes of the cheese, and the cheese with the highest score in the end wins and moves forward to the best of category stage. Coming to our first cheese, which would be B61129.
Okay, so appearance-wise, we've got something that's really quite sort of has quite a gnarly appearance to the curd, like it's a really sort of uneven curd structure on the rind there, which is quite interesting, like quite bright white, fairly even coloration, quite a bit of moisture coming from this cheese. How's your sample, Richard?
So I completely agree, and underneath the nice wrap it was packed in what they call an MD film. I have to say, whilst it's in the traditional crumbly class, it absolutely looks and behaves to me like a white Stilton.
That was my initial thought on opening this, was it looks like a white Stilton, which
hence the crunkliness, because the cheese isn't pressed, all the curds just knit together in the mold.
Yeah.
So yeah,
so how is it doing appearance?
Looking forward to trying it.
Yeah, so appearance wise I would go relatively high, maybe an 8.
An 8?
Yeah, it was certainly well presented.
Yeah, would you go higher than an 8 or?
No, I think it's very clean and it's very uniform. You can see it's got that free moisture. No, I think
so we're settling with 8.
We'll go with an 8 on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Moving on to aroma.
Lactic and zesty.
Very much so. It reminds me of something almost like a sort of like a cake mix about the smell, or a cookie dough.
Yeah, pastry doughy.
Yeah. Yeah, and zesty. There's a very subtle sort of citrusy, lemon zest sort of aroma. I think it's quite pleasant actually, aroma. I'd be tempted to stick with the 8, maybe.
An 8.
Stick with an 8.
Definitely.
Moving on to the texture of the cheese.
Texture, and this is going to be quite an important mark for this type of cheese, isn't it? We've got quite a lot of crumble happening here. It really does crumble very freely.
Slightly sticky.
And mouthfeel wise, there's an unevenness to it, like that sort of I've forgotten the phrase you used to describe it earlier, but you've
like
sort of,
a lumpiness.
Yeah, a lumpiness, exactly. So it's sort of got a nice paste with little lumps through it. It doesn't sound like a very appealing way to describe it, but it's actually quite a nice texture.
Shall we stick with the 8?
I'm happy to see it get an 8.
Yep.
That's an 8 for the texture.
Mhm.
Moving on to flavor.
Very milky, isn't it?
Yeah. Are you
But like
picking?
a sort of
I'm picking up a note to that. Milky but metallic. If I had
Yeah.
to summarise it in 3
quite
words.
hard, and yeah, you do have this sort of aluminium foil kind of sensation, don't you?
Which is, it's an absolute shame because up to now it's been
There's still some good things in the flavours.
yes, there are.
Sort of metallic bitterness. There's still some nice sort of that
milky, creamy
lemoniness,
notes.
lemon,
Yep.
yeah, that sort of creme fraiche kind of arena,
Yes.
isn't it? It's
Yep.
where you have citrus and cream.
I'm no more than a 7. I'm a 6 really, I guess.
I'm also between a 6 and a 7.
Shall we 6.5 it?
I think let's do that.
6.5. So that's with this cheese. Moving on to the next one, if you're ready, judges.
Yes, I'm going to got some whey on my hands, same as Hero by the looks.
Yep.
The next cheese would be B61085.
Okay.
1085, was it? Okay.
1085, yes.
So appearance wise, we've got a nice wedge with quite a sort of grey beigeish natural rind.
And it's certainly been matured in the rind. It's not been kept in a bag or anything. It's the real deal.
You can see that there's a real difference there. This piece has been backing packed, so I'm just going to cut into it to have a better look at what's going on there. I think the colour of the paste is very nice and bright.
Yep, I agree. In terms of appearance, it really looks very nice. It's got theatre and well presented. It doesn't look like there's anything on it that's going to stop you eating it. You know, there's no ingress.
Like appearance, therefore. A 9?
A 9, definitely.
A 9, yeah. How's aroma?
Aroma. It's not the most. You do have to get quite close to it to detect it.
Very little aroma there, Hero, except for the earthiness, the mushroominess of the rind, really.
Yeah. What you can get from the centre of the cheese is perfectly pleasant, but it's very, very subtle. It's really quite difficult to judge that.
Let's call it delicate.
Yeah, I wouldn't mark it down too much for being delicate.
A 7 probably for me.
Yeah, I'd be happy to see it with that.
A 7 for the aroma and the texture.
Well, it's definitely crumbly.
Yep.
See if it's got that silky mouth feel we've talked about in the past.
I think it has the texture I would expect for this style of cheese, where it sort of easily crumbles on the tooth.
But it's not drying and sawdusty, is it? It's quite silky, quite a moist mouthfeel.
I'd go relatively high for texture, I'd say. What do you think?
For me, it's an 8.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
An 8 for the texture and for the flavor.
I actually think that's very nice. Really nice and savoury.
Yeah, it's quite balanced as well. I would say it's fairly aged for a crumbly, would you? I'm
Really
probably an 8.5.
Savoury, salt, acidity. I'd go 8.5. I'd even be tempted by a 9, actually.
Can we stick at 8.5?
Of course.
8.5 for the flavor.
I'm going to have a bit more though.
You know you're on a
Definitely.
winner when you keep going back for another piece as a judge, knowing that you've got a long range of cheese to look at and you still keep going back for more. Yeah, so it's a nice example. It's another one that's going in my fridge.
Yeah.
So we can move on to the next cheese when you're ready, judges.
Okay.
So the next cheese would be B61009.
Okay. So
Yep.
you've got another natural rind,
It is.
a little bit
Unmatured in the
marbling.
rind hero.
Yeah, definitely. A little bit more marbling, I'd say, through the curd. We've got a less even coloration, but that's not to detract from it. Mine has dried a little bit in the packaging, so I'm just going to cut into it so that I'm not kind of judging it on transport.
It's got quite a loose texture. It does feel dry, you're quite right.
I think it's a shame. I don't want to mark it down on appearance for that issue, that it may have been in that sort of in the paper for a little while. Because
Yep.
I think, like, looking at the rind and the kind of evenness, I'd say it's a well-made cheese. Would you say an 8?
Yeah, no more, because the people who prepared the sample, other exhibits have been put in a film so it doesn't dry. So yeah, I think we'll go with an 8 because it's a lovely cheese.
Yeah.
That's an 8 for
Yeah,
the
but I would
appearance.
feedback, I guess, that the packaging maybe didn't do us any favors here.
Absolutely, yeah. The manufacturer hopefully will be watching this and saying, "Oh, you know," but the reality is, you know, it's well-intentioned feedback.
Yeah, and it's how it's met the consumer here. So
Yeah,
exactly.
So let's moving on to the aroma of the cheese.
something sharp in that, isn't there? Like
Almost like a tiny hint of ammonia.
yeah, there is.
It's really subtle.
Yeah, no, I'm getting that on my sample as well.
Have I just led you with that? Do
No,
you know what
I was trying to identify it and wondering if it was a small amount of ammonia. It's on the rind, it's actually quite sort of more noticeable, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the piece I've just smelt, I've taken from the center, you know, from the piece there.
I've got a cut surface here that I'm judging from. I think I probably wouldn't go higher than a 6 for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
A 6 for the aroma. And for the texture.
Oh, it's very squidgy. Sort of quite pasty.
It's got that lumpiness that we'd expect with a creamy or a tasty Lancashire that we were talking about in a previous class.
Yeah. It's got quite a sticky mouthfeel, which is not unpleasant. Texture, it's difficult, this one, because it's in a crumbly category. It's not particularly crumbly, but it's a very nice texture.
And if we knew, for example, that it was, let's say, and it may not be, but let's say if this was a creamy Lancashire, the body and texture is what a creamy Lancashire should have, which is, it sort of doesn't quite know where it sits. So this isn't a crumbly in terms of your standard Cheshire, Wensleydale, Lancashire, Caerphilly, not necessarily in that order of years, but
do you like it? The texture?
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
I'm probably a 6.5.
Okay, yeah, no, I'd be happy to see it there.
A 6.5. Moving on to the flavor.
It's quite tart. There's quite a lot going on there. There's like quite a journey.
Keep going.
What, to the destination?
Bitter, bitter, bitter.
I'm not always that great as identifying bitterness. Some of the cheeses we've had today, it's been really noticeable. This one, it's taking me a lot longer to get there. What would you give it for flavor?
5.5, probably, to be honest.
Okay, I was thinking more like a 7, but that may be to do with the fact that I'm not as good at detecting bitterness. And there's some other quite interesting things going on in the flavor. But sorry, so you said 5.5. We can go 6.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, look, it's a beautifully made cheese, and it has the overpowering flavor criterion is bitterness for me. And as you've heard me say before, apart from beer and gherkins, no one says, "Oh, isn't that nice and bitter?" And it's just such a shame, because the cheese is lovely in every other respect. It's got this overriding bitter note for me.
Okay,
Is that a 6 for the flavor?
Yeah, I think
it is a 6.
Six tops. Yeah, 6. We'll go with that.
So that completes this round, and the cheese with the highest score is B61085. The cheese will be moving on to the next category stage. Before ending this session, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Butler's Farmhouse Cheeses, for our aprons. Also, our marvelous judges, Hero Hirsch and Richard Neal. Thank you so much, judges, for being on board for this judging. Also, for the viewers, look out for the live event on 17th of May, where various awards will be giving out, like cheeses for Best English, Irish, Scottish, and Welsh cheeses. Also, it's the day where we'll be crowning a supreme champion. Thank you. Have a nice day.